I've been an art instructor since the early 1990s, and it was an interesting concept that I could even paint, let alone teach someone else how to paint. You see, my story was I could not paint. Now, I know most of you who are visiting and watching this video right now know, without a doubt, there is not a single doubt in your mind, no matter how much you want to, there is not a single doubt in your mind that you cannot paint. And the reason I say that is because I was you back in 1990. I knew without a doubt that I had not a single bone of artistic talent in my life. And this was confirmed in high school, because what happened is my teacher said, Darrell, there are people who appreciate art and there are people who are artists. Fortunately, you can appreciate art. And so I did. I always wanted to surround myself with beautiful things, but never once did I believe that I could. And the reason is I already knew I had no talent. I was born with no talent. It was like being born with no money. No talent, nothing, nada, zilch. You see, I couldn't even draw a stick man. And a lot of people I know have trouble with those. So if you're like me, I want you to relax, because I've got something very, very special that I want to tell you. So listen tight, as I used to tell my kids, because I want to share my story with you. You see, I knew that I couldn't paint. So if you know what you can't do, you don't do that which you can't do, because you shouldn't do what you can't do, right? But there was one man who broke through my wall of disbelief back in 1990. And his name is Jesse Martin. Now, I met Jesse at a local flea market, and here he is telling me I could paint. Now, I want you to know, and I ain't going to tell you how many years, but it's been at least 40 years, I knew that I didn't know what I didn't know, okay? But what I didn't know is I didn't know what I thought I knew. What this means is I'm just like you. I've got somebody in front of me that's guaranteeing that he can teach me to paint. And I had a big wall of disbelief. In fact, it was so big that for the next 45 minutes, Jesse was trying to talk me into sitting down and doing a painting. Now, I'm going to tell you something. He had some beautiful paintings in the wall, and the only thing my little heart wanted to do was just buy one. And I offered him $25. I offered him $35, $45, $55, $65, $75, and he would not take it. He says, those are my paintings. I'm keeping them. You want a painting just like that, you got to sit down and try it. And I said, but I already know I can't do it. I just want to give you some money, take that painting, and go home. And he said, Darrell, I'm going to be totally honest with you. You can do this. And I said, Jesse, the only thing you want from me is the lesson money. But I'm willing to give you money for the painting. I'll give you twice the lesson fee. He said, no, absolutely not. You sit down, you can do this, and you don't have to pay for the lesson. You only have to pay for the painting if you decide to take it. You don't want my lesson fee money? Absolutely not. Really? You have that much faith in me? Absolutely, Darrell. Now you sit down. I'm going to tell you what brush to do. I'm going to tell you how to put it, paint on the canvas. I'm going to take you hand in hand, step by step, and you're going to produce a painting that you're going to pay, that you yourself painted, and you're going to be glad you did it. I said, I'm a deaf, balding, fat boy. Don't you fool around with me. And he said, don't you worry. I know what you can do. So you know something? Everything's history. Because at that time, I sat down and I started to paint. Now I got to tell you, sometimes he said to use red, and I thought he said lead. Sometimes, because I have a hearing problem, I only hear about a third of what's possible to hear and retain about 8% of that. Okay? So I sat down and I noticed something. As I was painting and doing and struggling to hear, we were in a flea market, and right next to the booth, there's traffic. You can't believe the traffic. You can't believe the noise. I took my hearing aid out. There's a lot of noise going right around. And I stopped and I said, what do you say, Jesse? He'd come over, he'd tell me again, he'd tell me again. No matter what I asked him, he answered my question. And after about 2 hours, I saw a group of 4 or 5 people standing behind me, and they were watching me. And I looked down the rest of the audience, or the class, and behind every student was about 4 or 5 people standing. And the guy next to me turns around to another one and says, this guy's an artist. He's been an artist for a long time. Nobody can paint like that for the first time. And I turned around to him, I said, sir, I am a first-time student. I have never even drawn stickmen before. And here I am painting. I can't believe this. I went home. I took that painting. I put it on the wall. I watched it like a television show. I called everybody I knew. I called my daddy. I called my mom. I called my grandparents. I called 4 generations back. And I said, look what I did. I made photos of my painting. You want to know something? It was incredible. Nobody believed me. And they said, where have you had all this talent? And I went, talent? Heck, I still can't draw stick people. But you know something? That began a journey. You see, the difference was I finally had belief in me. I knew now, without a doubt, after just one single lesson, that I could paint. I don't care. I didn't need Jesse anymore. I knew, even though Jesse had a lot of faith in me and never seen me before, I knew that Jesse was right. He could teach me to paint. I started a great relationship that lasts to this day with my original instructor, Jesse Martin. Now, there were 3 things Jesse told me that made a difference in my life, and I'd like to review them because they're going to make a difference in your life. They're going to make a difference in whether or not you put faith in yourself. Here's the first thing he told me. He said, Darrell, learning to paint is no more difficult than learning to write. Today, in school, most people can sign their names, which is an art form, if you think about it. Sometimes signing your name is a lot harder than painting a tree. It really is. It takes a lot of practice to get your penmanship down. And then other people got to recognize your name. And they got to actually make out the letters in those names. And he says the way you get there is I show you the techniques. Those teachers showed you the technical method of writing your name. And with practice, 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 and practice, it becomes second nature. And I got to tell you, it's been a long time since I've been in school, but you know I can sit down and write my name out anytime I want. And it'll look pretty much the same as the last time I wrote my name. Why? It became second nature. It became second nature, and I gained a talent for signing my name. And that's what you will do with oil painting, Darrell. I'm going to teach you the techniques of oil painting, and you're going to practice, practice, practice. And when they become second nature, people are going to say, hey, you've got talent. So the first thing he taught me is that the techniques are important to learn. So you practice, practice, practice. The second thing is that talent is nothing more than technique, second nature. And the third thing he told me is that once you've developed your techniques, once you've developed your talent, you're going to see different. You're going to look at the world differently, and you're going to start to create your own painting. You're going to take photographs and paint from the photograph. You're going to paint from real life, go sit out on the countryside. And it all begins with one thing, having faith in yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, I know you're interested in learning to oil paint. You have some interest and you don't believe in yourself. And I want to help you learn to believe in yourself. And in fact, I guarantee that I can help you. Because as Jesse gave me the very first lesson free, I'm going to give you the same gift. I'm going to give you one of my DVDs or one of my videos. And in fact, if you want a full day or a couple of days on my video club, which has all 250 films that I've already produced on how to paint, I'm going to do that for you. You just simply have to put your name in the little coupon and your email address, and I'll send you all the information. In fact, I'll even send you a daily lesson for 20 days. Why am I doing this? One reason only. I want to share with you the joy, the absolute positive joy I had when I began to believe in me. I know you can do this, but I want you to know it too. If there's anything I can do to help you, you just send me an email. I'm not only someone sitting here saying I'd like to give you an email, I'm going to give you me. Okay? If you have a question, send me an email. I'll answer it. We have a lot of different ways of interacting with you, and I'll share all that with you in my lessons, my daily lessons. Remember one thing, I believe in you. I have faith in you. All I want to do is prove that you can have as much faith and as much ability and talent as you want. I'm Darrell Crow, and yes, you can paint.